There was a time when you would push trainings down somebody's throat. It's been 27 years of corporate slavery, and put a gun to my head and say that call out that one change. Now, what is that? That's how a human brain works. Am I saying that human skills are not important? There is bias built into models. Is there an area in HR that doesn't get impacted by AI? What does it solve for? How does it save me money?
Welcome to ValueMatrix.tv, where we bring unfiltered voices and strategic thinking to build better workplaces. I'm Roden Surjo, and joining me today is Vikas Maheshwary, VP Human Resources at Syngene International Limited. Welcome, Vikas.
Hey, Roy, thank you so much for having me here.
I would just want to give our viewers and listeners a bit of background. So you have over 27 years of experience across, various industries spanning pharma, e-commerce, retail, and even global enterprises. And you specialize in the digital HR transformations, is what I gather from your LinkedIn. So maybe if you can just give us a little bit about more about what exactly do you do.
It's been 27 years of corporate slavery, and HR was not my first choice. Right, so it's
Mhm.
not that I chose to be an HR professional. I started off in sales. um, I was selling fax machines, EPBX machines, computers, mobile handsets, connections, whatever came my way back in 97. So all of that was going great for me till my boss said that, listen, you've been doing this well, how about you share this knowledge with your other colleagues? And I said, what does
Right.
that mean? Then that means trainings. And that's where it kind of became a little more serious for me, this new career choice of becoming a L&D practitioner. And then I started reading about how do you train and how do you conduct workshops. And that's how my HR journey really started. So yeah, I mean, first things first, I was never a by choice HR professional. It happened more by chance.
You've been around for a long time and quite a few years within your current organization as well. So, just wanted to get your thoughts on some of the biggest changes or shifts that you've seen within the HR space, be it technology or just the way organizations function. Like, what are the maybe your biggest changes that you've seen?
And quite a few, right? I mean, we have evolved.
Yeah.
HR as a function, as a practice, has evolved over the years. I mean, it's been said so many times, and it's. I mean, but I'll still say it. I think COVID was a great time for all of us to go back to the drawing board. I mean, I come from a time when we used to have manpower planning. The MPPs as the
Mm.
center stage for everything, which was in HR planning, and a lot of my colleagues would know that the way to look at manpower planning used to be that you would look at your attrition rates, your expected attrition rates, what does the business need, what are they asking for, put those numbers together. So it was almost like a Excel sheet that you would create. We
Right.
also had this whole tendency of throwing people at problems. I mean, employees were just another brick in the wall. A lot of that has changed. So from
Mm.
those MPP Excel driven manpower planning sheets, spreadsheets, we've moved to workforce management. So today there's a lot of predictability to say that what are the kind of skills that you need, and then you move to what kind of resources that you need. I think basic practices in HR like performance management, they have evolved. It's more continuous. I keep talking in my talks about enterprise performance management, which actually links an individual's performance objectives to the organization's
Right.
objectives. I mean, visualize this like a KPI or a goal tree. It's like
Right.
a mind map of sorts. And this causality established between each of these KPIs. So if at a junior most, let's say an L-6 kind of a level, if there is a KPI which misbehaves, you are able to identify what is the impact going to be at the topmost objective. There are those kind of data models that sit today, which is a very different way to look at enterprise performance management. Similarly, I mean, L&D, I mean, my favorite subject, there was a time when you would push trainings down somebody's throat. Today, because of the whole skills taxonomies being available, these are more personalized, more targeted, more impactful. So there are lots that has changed. But in my view, if you had to put a gun to my head and say that call out that one change, I think we do not look at employees as yet another brick in the wall. There's a lot of focus on skills. We look at workforce management rather than MPP or manpower planning. So these are some of those considerable shifts that I've seen over the few years.
I just want to get your thoughts on obviously AI coming to the picture. I know from your LinkedIn profile that you are pro AI, and at least you've vocalized it over there. But let's say for an HR role or the kind of things that a CHRO has to do. What are the areas you think where AI can actually, help or speed up the processes, and maybe some areas where you feel that AI is not really needed, or it's not going to help, it's going to make things worse, and like a human is better off at that task.
Is there an area in HR that doesn't get impacted by AI? I don't see any. Okay, let me just
Mm,
be straightforward. There is definitely some impact of AI, which is across all of our HR practices. Development is an obvious use case that we already know, but even in org design, the way you would have addressed Kate Kessler's model and looked at how do you do job leveling, job architectures, spans, layers, a lot of that is now empowered, augmented through AI.
mm,
So AI is amazing. It's here to stay. Having said that, am I saying that human skills are not important? I think going forward, and this I've been saying for a year now, that human skills are going to become premium. The way I see things moving, I think there's going to be a huge hype cycle around, AI adoption, big shiny tools. People are, and most organizations are going to invest decently on the AI side of it. And then there's going to be a time when people start saying, oh, all this is good, I mean, but I still need a human interaction. Think about recruitment. I mean, you can do a whole bunch of intelligent automation, or you can even bring in AI for better experiences, but at some stage there is a human connect that is needed in it. So
yeah,
there is going to be always a human in the loop. All right, so there is
yeah,
no area that doesn't get impacted by AI. Almost everything does. But then at the same time, the human in the loop is extremely important, and it is going to stay. I am talking about a very predictive talent architecture that we need to build
mm,
consuming AI. What I've seen is that a lot of us in HR, when we start getting excited about AI, we go ahead and we start bringing in a technology or an AI fabric in the ecosystem, which we have heard about, but we
mm,
don't necessarily know whether it is going to give us the right ROI.
right,
And I keep saying that if you are going to invest in any kind of an AI, solution, the first question that you should have in your mind is that what does it solve for, and how does it save me money? All right. So
mm,
if you're bringing in additional investment and not reducing your tech debt, then there is something wrong that you are doing. That's where I rest my case. I mean, for me, it's very straightforward. Bring in AI to automate your repetitive tasks. Bring in
yeah,
AI for intelligence. Bring in AI to reduce the grunt work.
yeah.
But keep the humans in the loop, because the day you start thinking that all AI is autonomous, that's where you would have lost the plot.
But I just want to come back to one point that you mentioned about the human in the loop, right? I mean, a lot of CHROs that we've spoken to in the past have said that you can't really discount human judgment and, of course, the human sixth sense or the intuition, right? But humans are also inherently, I would say, biased. So when you have AI, which is fairly neutral, I would say. I mean, based on how it is programmed and set up, right? Now, by bringing back the human back into the loop, are you reintroducing that bias and maybe in that sense, sort of taking the wrong judgment and undoing all the work that maybe you brought in AI for in the first place?
A couple of thoughts. Are we saying that all AI is unbiased? Are we saying that all AI is objective? I disagree. I don't think that any AI is non-biased. There is bias built in into models. I mean, there is no algorithm that just suddenly drops from the sky, and solves for world peace and hunger and all our
Yeah,
HR problems. It doesn't work like that. You would have heard of, model trainings. Now, what
yeah,
is that? That is basically to say that whatever AI models you've introduced, there's something that you are doing towards training it, towards making it more impactful, more objective. And that's how a human brain works. That's pretty much how we take decisions, right? When we say
yeah,
gut and experience, what do we really mean? What we are basically saying is that I've taken this decision 10 times in two different ways, five times in one way, five times in a different way. And the success has been in the latter. So therefore, the next time this problem and I'm encountered with, I will deploy that, right? I mean, just
yeah,
simplifying it.
yeah,
If that's how people make decisions, that's exactly how AI would make a decision, provided it is trained well. And I'm talking
right,
about AI not when we say that, okay, I'm querying AI and using AI for content or using AI for research. That's okay. But I'm talking
yeah,
about the minute you start deploying agents to do some decision making, if not decision making, at least doing certain tasks, then you have to be looking at training your model. Similarly, if you're looking at predictive data coming through, the
Mm.
most cliched and the simplest of the use cases is attrition prediction. Okay, I mean, I think
Right.
almost all organizations would have solved it by now, either through AI or through spreadsheets, but the basic construct is the same. If you're deploying an AI model for predicting attrition, ask anybody who's worked on it, they would tell you that they didn't get it right the first time. It was maybe at a 60% validation, 70% validation, though these are high numbers. But to reach that 60 and 70%, you have to tweak the model so many times. I very honestly believe that it is important for us to understand that when I say humans in the loop, it is
Mm.
not as binary as saying that I am 100% relying on AI for a certain kind of a task. There are certain that you can, I mean, creating a PPT and all of that, fine,
Yeah.
just tell the prompt and it makes it. And I was telling you, then if you just wing it, right, I mean,
Yeah.
you get into a presentation room and then you know what you're talking about. There could be some errors, so it's always good to kind of quickly skim through it.
Yeah.
But if I'm looking at some kind of a data analytics, if I'm looking at some kind of an insight generation, I would want to be in the loop. I would want to see how the AI has calculated and computed that, and then
Mm.
go back and make modifications into the model itself. That's the right way to, I think, approach AI.
Yeah, it depends on how the model is trained. You're right. I mean, we can't just take it for granted that AI would be, neutral or unbiased. So I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's simple. I mean, keep auditing your model.
Yeah.
There's this whole subject I keep talking about, which is AI assurance. I mean, keep talking to your model, keep seeing whether the model which was working well till yesterday, is it
Yeah.
still giving you results. So that engagement is important. I mean, it has taken away 80% of your workload any which way. So that
True. Yeah.
20% that you will deploy, just add another 20% on auditing and getting into the model depth. It'll
Yeah.
just help you take the right kind of decisions.
Yeah.
Just don't outsource the accountability of your algorithm to somebody else. It's yours. It's you who has to take care of it.
When you're hiring, always look at people, processes, and the technology, right? The technology comes last. But I was just thinking, like, since we know that a lot of processes are going to get automated by technology,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
does this equation change in the future? Should organizations or CHROs approach it differently and maybe put technology, give it higher priority?
It's a good question to ask. Do I have the real answer? Can I be wrong when I say this? Of course, yes. I don't know how the
Yeah.
future is going to unveil. I don't think anybody does.
Yeah.
80s we could predict future maybe, but the
Yeah.
way things are going today, none of us can. It's not an extension of your present, the future. Let's
Yeah.
just put it like that. So there's going to be a pivot. So is tech going to be the start point of the story? My mind and whatever I've seen around me happening says no. You will always be looking at the process first and then wiring your technology around that process. I'll tell you why. Would you agree that while the industry could be the same, but within the industry, even the company context is different?
Yeah.
Because of multiple factors. It could be product, it could be capital, it could be people. If the context is different, is it possible that some parts of the processes could be done differently? If the answer is yes, then you're always looking at the processes. But if your processes were standardized, you know uh,
Right.
ideal state that within all manufacturing, processes are absolutely same across all organizations, only in that case you would be in a situation where you could keep tech at the center stage and say, well, I'll just pick up this tech, it is meant for manufacturing and we will operate exactly as per the tech, we don't need to touch our processes. But it doesn't work like that. That's why we have things like process re-engineering and so much that goes on, because the context changes, market dynamics change, you know laws and regulations change. So there is a lot of dynamism, so therefore your process cannot be static, and therefore you cannot have technology coming at the start point. It'll always be process. But at the heart of this is always going to be people. So when you say
True.
PPT, the
True.
people process tech, so yeah, I mean, it's first people, then process, and then technology, and that's how I think this equation works best.
Let's assume that most of the work,
Sure.
or at least the grunt work, is going to be like automated, or at least the machines are going to do all the heavy lifting. And like you
Yeah.
said, the people skills are going to be at a premium at
Premium.
one point, right? There's a lot of talk about agentic AI coming into the play, where it's not just doing prompting a model, but it's basically just giving it a task to do, and then it figures how to do the task by itself, right? So that is also going to happen. So eventually in the future, you would have, let's say, a TA leader or a CHRO who would be orchestrating maybe multiple agents. Do you think that sort of also limits the scope for, let's say, the future CHROs? Like, would there be like a new base minimum or a technical aptitude that would be required in order to sort of, take on this role in the future?
For sure, for sure. I mean, uh, yeah, it's like most obvious thing that's coming up. I mean, if we were to assume for a minute that can we, like we used to do in earlier days, right, where you would
Yeah,
have a CHRO who would not necessarily be tech savvy,
yeah,
could survive in a environment or in an industry where you could have a COE for tech in HR.
yeah,
You know, it doesn't work like that anymore. For example, if you look at org design, and you've spoken about agentic AI orchestration, like
yeah,
what is that? That is basically saying that humans and agents, they exist together and they do a certain task. So basically, you are hiring agents into your team. Now, if a
yeah,
CHRO doesn't understand the whole agentic AI orchestration conceptually, and then, of course, the impact of it, how would the CHRO influence any kind of an org design? You know, now you can always come back to me and say that, but CHRO job is not really that. CHRO is more about handling board, handling stakeholders, and partnering. I don't think so. I think the CHRO is all about finding efficiencies in the organization and taking the performance of the organization ahead. If the HR head, the CHRO, the leader in the HR team, whatever you want to call it, if
yeah,
they don't appreciate the impact of technology, let me just say technology, AI is a part of it,
yeah,
and how does it impact the work? Okay, how are they supposed to take the right staffing decisions, the right skilling decisions? I mean, you cannot have only people anymore in an org. You need agents. That's where we are headed. So yes, the answer is that all HR people, why just the HR leader, everybody in HR needs to be
mm,
able to understand tech and also the impact of it. Am I saying that you need to be a coder or you need to work on Python? Do you need to do
yeah. No, not really.
neural networks and do forward propagation and backward propagation? No, no. I mean, you can find data scientists do a lot of that. I mean, from interest, if you want to do it, of course, more power to you. But you have to look at HR is equal to tech. But then there's another element, which is marketing. Okay.
Mm,
So HR is equal to tech, is equal to marketing, is what I keep saying. Why? Because any kind of a program that you introduced, or even for that matter, an agentic, multi-model agentic orchestration that you did, this needs to be marketed well within the organization. And that's where a lot of HR organizations fail. Even
right.
if you look at policies, they are they are supposed to be governance subjects, saying that, oh, I've rolled out a policy, now jolly well follow it. Doesn't work like that. It's like a product that you've created. Now you need to go and sell that product in the organization, just like you would manufacture a pen and then you would promote it. But then
Yeah,
you would not only promote it, you would also innovate it to say that, okay, can I make this product better? So it's an
yeah,
iterative process, and every time you bring an upgrade or a change, you got to go back to your consumer, which is employee in this case, and then communicate that, this is the change that
yeah.
I've brought in and this is how it helps, the what's in it for me. So these three components come together in the modern HR world. Okay, so just being a great HR domain expert, I'm not sure if that really helps make an organization or an HR leader future ready.
I think my one final question, and this is probably an easy one for you, but if there's one myth you had to bust when it comes to AI and HR, what would that be?
I already said that a lot of us believe that AI is objective. It is not.
Hmm.
Okay, AI is not 100% objective. AI is not 100% uh, bias proof. Uh,
Yeah,
it, I mean, you cannot be assured of an AI just by bringing in an AI technology. I mean, you have to work on it. You have to
hmm.
nurture the model. You have to nurture it in a way that it gives you the right kind of an output. Uh, you can, and I'm not saying about prompting and getting some research report. I mean, that
Yeah,
also I've seen a lot of challenges at times. When your research is a
yeah,
little bit of a deep research, it throws out certain links as sources, and you would
yeah,
typically believe that it must be all right. But try clicking those resources and you may or may not find the information that it is being referred back to.
yeah,
So there is the biggest myth is that AI is objective. It is not. The other is that AI solves for everything. No, it does not.
hmm,
Okay. Will AI take away some jobs? Absolutely, it will. It has been taking. It will. But will it take away all jobs? No, it won't. Uh, is AI as easy as paying a check and then bringing it in? No, that's the biggest mistake that you would do. That's why we keep saying some 70% of the POCs around agentic AI have failed. Why? Because
Yeah.
somebody just thought that it was a great thing to do, just like a tick in the box activity. You
Yeah.
invested some dollars on it and then realized that, hey, it's not giving me the kind of result. In fact, my technical debt has gone high. I am spending
Yeah.
more. My outflow is high, but returns are not. So there are these challenges that exist, and the best way to solve them, again and again, I keep saying, is that take control of the AI. Okay,
Yeah.
don't think that just by bringing in a subscription of a certain kind of a model is enough. You have to orchestrate it, you have to layer it. I just think about it, right? If you are bringing in a set of agents, okay, to do performance management, and it's not
Yeah.
difficult, by the way. uh, I mean, if you look at the different things in performance management, each of that can be an agent, right? So you could
Yeah.
have an agent to draw out your KPIs, you could have an agent to fill in your actuals, or maybe you could do it manually. But imagine like an interface where you have some 10, 15, 20 agents working together to do one thing which is called performance management for you. uh,
Yeah.
is that possible? 100% yes. But the question is that if you're bringing that kind of a capability in, what are you letting go of? All right. If
Hmm.
you haven't answered that and you have gone ahead and investment, then you're paying for a dual operating system. You have a performance
Yeah.
management tool or whatever, plus you've got some agents. Similarly, if you're bringing in an agent for data visualizations, what are you letting go of? If you bring in an agent for any other purpose, what are you letting go of? And then are you validating that? Are you validating the outputs that you see till the time you're 100% sure that, okay, now this particular agent or this particular capability in AI is throwing up all the results that are more or less there, more or less accurate. So that's the way to approach it. But as I keep saying, biggest myth would still remain that AI solves for everything. It doesn't. AI is objective. It is not. And just by investing, your ROI will come. No, you also have to think of reducing your tech debt.
Oh, I think that's a good place to maybe end this conversation. Thank you so much, Vikas, for joining us on ValueMatrix.tv. It was wonderful to have you.
No, it's been a pleasure for me as well, Royden. It was good talking to you. Some of your questions are like really deep. So look forward to having more conversations with you in the near future. Thank you
Definitely,
so much.
definitely. Thank you. To our viewers and listeners, if you're passionate about modernizing, hiring, and building better teams, head over to valuematrix.tv for more great content. Also, don't forget to follow us on social and subscribe to our podcast. Until next time, thank you for tuning into valuematrix.tv, where we explore the future of work, one insightful conversation at a time. Take care.